Tyson Gay ran 9.69 seconds. He beat Usain Bolt in a world championship final. He still holds the American 100-meter record today. And right now, he's watching Gout Gout, the 17-year-old Australian who just ran 9.99 and broke the internet. And he has one message for him. Not praise, not hype. A warning that took Gay years of pain to learn. Gout Gout is the name on everyone's lips right now. 17 years old, from Australia, and he just clocked 9.99 seconds for the 100m, making him the fastest junior sprinter in the world at his age. The internet lost its mind. Fans started comparing him to Bolt himself. Coaches called him generational. But here's the part nobody wants to say loudly. Being the fastest 17-year-old alive and being ready for what's coming next are two completely different things. And Tyson Gay knows exactly what that gap costs. Rewind to 2007. Gay walked onto the track at the World Championships and did something nobody expected. He won both the 100m and the 200m at the same championship. He beat Asafa Powell, the reigning world record holder, in the 100m. He beat a young Usain Bolt in the 200-meter final. This wasn't just winning. This was domination. Then came 2008. At the U.S. Olympic trials, Gay ran 9.77 in the quarterfinals. In the final, he clocked 9.68, still the fastest wind-aided 100m a human has ever run. The crowd reportedly exploded the second it hit the board. Gay walked into the Beijing Olympics as the second fastest man alive. Only Bolt stood above him. And then Bolt destroyed the entire field, Gay included. Standing in his lane, doing everything technically right, watching Bolt simply pull away, is where Gay's real education began. In his own words, "My mechanics were right. Everything I trained for was happening the way it should. It just wasn't enough." That's the truth Gout Gout hasn't faced yet. And it's coming. Before Bolt, though, there was Powell. And Powell taught Gay the first brutal lesson of elite sprinting. Powell didn't trick you. He didn't outthink you. He just got out so clean and so fast in the opening 30 meters that by the time you realized what was happening, you were already chasing. And once you're chasing, you tense up. Your stride shortens. Your rhythm breaks. Meanwhile, Powell just keeps doing exactly what he was doing from the gun. This is the trap waiting for Gout Gout. Right now, he's the one studying everyone else's footage. But the moment the world decides he's a real threat, every coach from Jamaica to the U.S. will be picking apart his start frame by frame. They'll find the crack. They always do. Gay's own coach, John Smith, said it plainly back in 2016. He's always been very comfortable catching people at the end, but he gives away the beginning. You can't catch up with a lot of the guys now. If that was true for Gay at 33, it will be true for Gout Gout the second the field has a full season of tape on him. Now here's the uncomfortable part. The toughest races of Gay's career didn't come from Bolt or Powell. They came from his own American teammate, Justin Gatlin. Same country, same system, same trials. None of that mattered once Gatlin lined up beside him after returning from a 4-year doping ban. What mattered was what Gatlin brought that day. A start so aggressive, so compact, so violent out of the blocks that it forced everyone else into a real-time decision. Stay disciplined, or match him early and risk blowing up at the end. Most sprinters matched him. Most sprinters paid for it. This is exactly the lesson Gout Gout isn't thinking about yet. He's surrounded by love right now. But the moment he becomes a real contender, his rivals won't just be the famous names overseas. They'll be sitting right next to him in camp. Then came the fall. In 2013, Gay tested positive for a banned substance and received a 1-year ban. He lost almost everything he'd built. He came back, but he never returned to where he'd been. By 2016, at 33 years old, he ran a 10.08 season opener and called it a rough start. The man who once ran 9.68 was now just grateful to be healthy enough to race. His own words, "Last year, I was unhealthy, missing a bunch of training." Once you miss a lot of training, you can't get consistency. Nobody had ever done it. Not once, in the entire history of college track. Not once, in the entire history of indoor sprinting. Breaking 20 seconds in the indoor 200m as a college athlete simply had never happened. Then on March 14, 2026, at the Randall Tyson Track Center in Fayetteville, Arkansas, Gage Kalan did exactly that. The clock read 19.95. The building lost its mind. College track was never going to be the same. Kalan was born January 25, 2004, in Georgia, but grew up in San Antonio, Texas, where his mother signed him up for track for one simple reason: the kid could not sit still. By high school, he was sweeping Texas regional titles in the 200 and 400, setting school records across the 100, 200, and 400, anchoring record relay teams, and earning Athlete of the Year. He left high school as the fastest recruit in the state, with bests of 10.51/20.66/46.88. He chose Nebraska. As a freshman, he ran 20.65 in the 200 m. As a sophomore, 20.25, good enough for second-team All-American honors. Steep improvement. But Nebraska wasn't where this story would peak. In August 2024, USC hired Brent Emanuel, Kalan's coach at Nebraska, as their sprints coach. Kalan followed him. Everything changed. The belief inside that program, Kalan has said, got into him in a way nothing else had. But the real transformation happened at the blocks. Emanuel had spotted the one flaw quietly capping Kalan's ceiling: his start. He was a monster in the back half of every race, but he kept digging himself a hole in the first 60 meters and spending the rest of the race clawing it back. After a year of obsessive work on that start, he finally had a complete race, dangerous from the gun to the tape. The payoff arrived fast. USC won the 2025 NCAA Indoor Team title, their first in 53 years. Kalan came back in 2026 with one target: win. On February 6th, he ran 20.12, breaking a USC school record that had stood since 2015, set by Olympic champion Andre DeGrasse. 2 weeks later, at the Big Ten Indoor Championships, he ran 20.06, the third fastest indoor 200 m in history, a new meet record, and the fastest time in the world that year. He wasn't finished. Emanuel revealed Kalan had turned down a pro contract after the 2025 season because he felt the job wasn't done. He came back for one more shot at the biggest title of his life, the NCAA Division I Indoor Championships, March 14, 2026. The men's 200-meter final was the last individual race of the entire meet. In the first heat, Wayne McCoy of Florida had already laid down a personal best 20.17, a real number to chase. Kalan drew the fast heat, alongside Arkansas's Galani Watkins, fresh off breaking his own school's 60-meter record earlier that same day. Before the race, Emanuel described Kalan's pre-race ritual: pacing, restless, nervous energy everywhere. Then the gun fires, and he becomes someone else entirely. That's exactly what happened. He exploded off the blocks, the clean, violent start Emanuel had spent a year building. He attacked the curve. He came off it flying. Down the straight. He lifted. He drove. He crossed the line. 19.95. The building erupted. Kalan had become the first college athlete in history to break 20 seconds indoors. He beat McCoy's mark by 0.22 seconds. It wasn't close. It was a statement. The previous NCAA and American indoor record, 20.02, set by Elijah Hall in 2018, gone. The facility record of 20.10, held by Wallace Spearman since 2005, gone. His 19.95 now sits as the second fastest indoor 200 m ever run by anyone, collegiate or professional. The only man faster indoors is Frank Fredericks of Namibia, who ran 19.92 in France in February 1996, a record that has stood for 30 years. Kalan missed it by 0.03 of a second. As a college kid, indoors, he now owns 2 of the 3 fastest indoor collegiate 200 m times in history, his own 19.95 at number 1, and his 20.06 tied for third. No college sprinter has ever sat that high on that list. After the race, Kalan admitted he'd woken up that morning convinced breaking 20 wasn't possible. Then he walked outside and changed his mind. I said I don't care. I'm running it today. His outdoor personal best already sits at 19.96. The world indoor record is 19.92. He's 22 years old. Nobody knows where the ceiling is yet. Jordan Anthony just walked into the biggest indoor meet in America, lined up next to an Olympic champion, beat him by 0.06 seconds, and basically told him to find a new hobby. He's 21. It was his first professional season, and he looked completely calm the entire time. On March 1st, 2026, at the Ocean Breeze Athletic Complex in Staten Island, The USATF Indoor Championships delivered a moment nobody saw coming. The men's 60-meter final had three real names on the line. Trayvon Bromell, the 2016 World Indoor Champion and one of the most dangerous starters the sport has ever produced. Noah Lyles, the reigning Olympic 100-meter gold medalist, four-time 200-meter world champion, and the face of American track. And Anthony, a rookie from Tylertown, Mississippi, who grew up dreaming about the Heisman Trophy, not a sprint title. When the gun fired, Anthony exploded out, hit the 30-meter mark in total control, and never looked back. He crossed in 6.45. Bromell finished second in 6.47. Lyles, 8 world titles, and Olympic gold, finished third in 6.51. The rookie beat the king, and the sport hasn't been the same since. To understand how big that is, you need to understand who Noah Lyles actually is. This isn't just a fast guy. Lyles won 100-meter gold at the 2024 Paris Olympics, ending a long American drought. He holds the American 200-meter record at 19.31, set at the 2022 World Championships. He's been the loudest, most dominant, most entertaining sprinter alive for years. The man who invented the championship belt celebration and turned himself into a cultural icon in a sport that rarely produces them. And before this race, Lyles hadn't even competed at USATF Indoors in over 9 years, not since 2018, when he finished 9th in Albuquerque. So when he showed up in 2026, he came in loud. He told reporters that anyone who thought he was letting that belt go anywhere clearly didn't know him. He said he was going all out from day one of the season. He said he wasn't scared of anyone. That's the man Jordan Anthony just beat. And here's what makes Anthony's story different from every other rising star narrative you've heard. He wasn't even supposed to be a sprinter. He was a wide receiver. Sonnet 4.6